All right, everybody, Student Body Right, USC podcast, Dwayne Douglas here. The t-shirts, they're fresh, they're out. So make sure you grab one. DM the show if you want to get a sweatshirt, you want to get a t-shirt. They come in white, black, whatever you want. But we got these for the Student Body Right USC podcast, and we got it for the Put On Raiders podcast as well. So definitely check those out. And just get that gear, man. Get that Student Body Right USC podcast gear. Let's start the show right about now.
Welcome to the Put On Waivers Media Group, home of the Put On Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
Welcome everybody to the glorious episode of the Student Body Right USC podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, and as always, I am podcasting off the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day out here in Southern California. PORSBR is my Twitter handle. So you could text it, you could DM the show, follow us there as far as that goes. And right below me is a text line as well. USC big battle coming up. Probably the game of the season for them. They're gonna have a consecutive games of the season coming up here, but Washington comes to town undefeated, the first place in the Pac-12. This is the opportunity that USC needs because they have not beaten a ranked opponent all year, and that's where we kind of start the show. Can USC beat Washington? Both teams struggle defensively. They're both in let me see, 97 to 110 mark as far as defense in the nation. So they both give it up. I was jokingly talking to USCJ, and I was saying, this game might be 74-71 somebody, and it damn well might be that way. We know about Penix, we know about Caleb Williams. Some of these other pieces in this game might be integral parts to see what will happen. I think there was an interesting tweet the other day because we've been fans of Raleek Brown on this program, and there are definitely some games where they could have used Raleek Brown as like a little bit of a relief for or change of pace for the running backs that they currently have in Lloyd and Jones, right? But he seems like he wanted to redshirt, like he wanted to, the rumors were that he wanted to leave SC, and it's hard at times to see, with SC, like there's only one ball, Caleb has the ball and it's only one of them, and it's like a lot of different weapons on this team. One of the guys who I was excited about just being able to kind of be a separator was Raleek Brown, and he does have 2 games he can play and still redshirt for next, and still be classified as a redshirt. Not lose a year of eligibility. He tweets out eyeball emojis and him in a practice jersey. So will he play this weekend? I would think he's going to play this weekend. I mean, I'm not sure he did all that just to be a spectator, and it just adds another dynamic weapon to what USC wants to do. I think a lot of times, with Caleb, Caleb has admittedly talked about how he has not, that at times he can hold the ball too long. And it's that fine line between holding the ball too long for a bigger play or just getting rid of it to a teammate. This is a guy who you get rid of it, for 3 or 4 yards and he can take it to the house. So Raleek Brown maybe coming back, that would definitely help the cause. Unfortunately, Raleek Brown can't tackle and he can't cover in the in the secondary. So we'll have to see what happens there. We'll come back and circle back to the offense, but we know Zion Branch, who was definitely coming on strong for this defense, is out for the year. So that's a blow to this secondary as far as that goes. Really liked the way he was playing. I mean, he was really earning a lot of really great playing time. He was playing very well in coverage and in tackling, taking really good angles, and doing all the things that you want, you get your guys in the secondary to do. Unfortunately, he's not going to be with the team. I mean, not with the team on the field, at least. He'll be with the team in spirit and everything else, but he's not going to be able to do what we really need him to do. And that stinks. And that stinks. So they have to figure out what they want to do in that back end. I mean, they're gonna play 27. They're gonna play Bryson Shaw, and they're gonna play him a lot. And he's hard to watch in the secondary. He really is. He really is hard to watch there. So hopefully something else can develop for SC there, because they're really struggling to watch when you watch Bryson Shaw play. It's really a struggling player. Let's get to the opponent. Michael Penix, one of the leaders for the Heisman. And I think the one thing that I would say, and I talked about it a little bit when I was on a Put On Raiders podcast with Marcus Johnson, was his waning accuracy. Like, so he has these moments where he's really just super duper accurate and doing his thing. And just the accuracy can kind of go. And I think that's where you watch Washington play, where they kind of get a little bit stagnant offensively. Um, that's what I would look for. That's one thing I would look out and watch out for. He is mobile. He can move. I think he's more of a pocket passer. He will run when he really has to. Not a lot of design runs for him in this offense. Really. They when they run it, they're gonna give it to the backs and everything like that. So but it's really a pass heavy offense. They have some really good weapons. I think Roma Duzier is going to be a guy who, I'm not sure what tier wide receiver he's going to be, but I think he's playing like a high second round, first round wide receiver. So you know how good a guy like that is. I always forget the name of the tight end. I think he's number 37. Let me see if I can pull it up for you guys, because he's a guy who, with like those guys who, it's 3rd and 6, and sometimes Alex Grinch thinks it's 3rd and 20, and he leaves the tight end wide open over the middle. Jack Westover and Devin Culp are two guys who I'd watch in this game as well, because the tight ends are a big part of what they do when they can't get the ball to Polk, and they can't get the ball to a Duzier. They look for those tight ends, and they keep the chains moving. And if you don't watch out, they can go, like, they could beat your safeties over the top. So there are definitely some really interesting pieces to this offensive unit. They are, they might, a lot of times they might go heavy, but they'll still have the ability to go down the field, because those two tight ends, sometimes they'll play them together, and they'll be able to get down the field and make plays. But it is a dynamic offense. It's one of the best offenses in college football. It is interesting that the athletic director for USC kind of helped. Now she's got in USC, and she's kind of helped build what's going on there in Washington, right? Like Washington, she left Washington to come to USC. So and that interesting factoid there, where she's brought like a builder's mentality from Washington to USC, and we'll see what she can continue to build our athletic program to be after coming over. But for her, it's kind of like she sits there and watches this game, and she's watching like everybody she knows on Washington play her new squad out here in Southern California. But not telling you that the guy is like crazy inaccurate. But when you have when the portion of the game where he is he has a little bit of inaccuracy, you gotta take advantage of it and pick the ball off. And he doesn't throw a lot of them, so I mean it's going to be hard to do. But I mean, I think there's times where USC is going to have to do that in this ball game if they're going to beat Washington, because the nation is going to be watching. It's going to be it's the second game of that doubleheader. 7:30 on the East Coast, so the East Coast can't cry about what time the game was. Out here on the West Coast, 4:30 our time. That I love when that game starts in the day and then ends at the night. So you'll see the sun come down in the third quarter, and hopefully USC can come out on top, because they really, like, this is like, they don't win this game. Next game is at Oregon. I mean, it's really going to be like a 5-loss season, and you can't. I mean, this team is too talented, even with the holes they have. Too talented to have 5 losses in a season, so they really need to come away with a victory here. And I know that that Washington is a team that is favored in the ball game. So we'll see if that matters as well. I'm not sure. I mean, USC a home dog is not with the reigning Heisman Trophy winner is not really something that I think that the team is taking lightly, if you will. Raylan Go For It comes back. So Raylan Go For It is one of the nation's leaders in far as pass coverage for linebackers as well. So, whatever they said that he couldn't do at SC, he's doing there. I think he had the game winning pass breakup when they played, I believe, Arizona State at home, where they barely beat Arizona State. So but they found a way to beat Arizona State, and they only gave up like 7 points in the ball game. So that's a different, almost losing to a bad opponent to when USC played Arizona State, and Arizona State, basically almost won the game, and then they scored 30 points in the game. So, you know, to the college football playoff people, it's all about resume and how it looks. So, and that's the reason why I don't know how you keep Alex Grinch. I think Alex Grinch has to go because of you're never going to get into the playoff if you're never going to get in the playoff if you can't show them that you can play on both sides of the ball. And even though it'll be a 12 team next year, opposed to a 4, you really got to show that ability. And if you don't show that ability, they're just gonna just walk you over. I mean, look at the resumes of Oregon and Washington, and they still kept those teams out of the top 4. They've clearly played better teams than Michigan. They've clearly played better teams than Ohio State, But I mean, Ohio State only really really big win was at Notre Dame on a last second touchdown, but they won the game. So you gotta give them credit. But like seriously, like that's it. Like that's how they did this. And it's not really the best thing in the world to be in that position where you have a half a team. When they view you as a half a team, they don't really want to put those games on the national stage. They want to put the most complete teams, the most complete 4 teams, at least this year, in the in the playoff game. Interesting note because it's interesting to see if USC can go on a run here. And they haven't played consistently enough for me to think they're actually going to be able to do it. But until they get that third loss, then I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna keep riding with them. I have to say, and it's weird to say, but I have to say this. You know, if they beat all those ranked teams in a row, they beat Washington, they go up into Oregon and beat Oregon, then beat UCLA at home, another quality ranked opponent, and then beat Oregon or Washington again in the Pac-12 championship game. I mean, man, like if that would be. I know they have 2 losses, but it would be interesting to see if they actually would put a team with 2 losses in that game if they had a resume of beating that many ranked teams in a row. Nobody can make that claim in the nation besides USC. If they're able to go on this run, they got to go on a run first, right? We'll see what happens as far as that goes. Did want to tackle one thing real quick before I made my game prediction. Actually, 2 things real quick. Lincoln Riley, don't know if he's staying or if he's going. I don't think he's leaving. But that article when he talked about NFL coaches have it so much easier because their season stops, opposed to the college coach where you're constantly recruiting, you're constantly doing stuff for the transfer portal, you're doing all these different things. Like that makes you kind of like pause for a little bit. But you got to remember when you have a girlfriend who kind of leaves. If you have a girlfriend who leaves her boyfriend in the middle of the night, the same way he left Oklahoma. And she could love us. She could be loving on you and all the other stuff like that, whatever. But in the back of your mind, yes, you have to say he left Oklahoma in stealth mode where nobody knew, no insider knew, nobody knew. And the next thing you know, he was literally, it was a Saturday night. And then Sunday, he got announced as all the rumors came out that he was leaving Oklahoma to go to USC. Kind of left Oklahoma the same way. Kind of left Oklahoma the same way that the Baltimore Colts left for Indianapolis, right? You got to think in the back of your mind, like he could do that to you. So it's not like, I mean, it's a lot of money on the table. I think he has a 10-year deal. All those things like that. One of the highest paid coaches in college football. But you got to always have in your mind that he left his other girl. He left his sooner girlfriend in one way, so he could do that to you too. So it's not something that I think is going to happen, but it's possible. Anything in college football is possible as far as that goes. The greatness of Marshawn Lloyd is just beautiful to watch. They need to get him the ball as many times as possible. And if Zachariah Branch is healthy in every way, in every single way, he needs to get the football, find the football. Him and Taj Washington, Brendan Rice, obviously that big body, and then a little bit of Deuce Robinson would never hurt. Like I just kind of want to see, like there has to be a way to get him involved. But if Raleek Brown is tweeting those things out, I would think that he's going to be able to play and give them a little bit more of a dynamic um a dynamic like little phase of their offense here because he's just a really super talented player as far as that goes. All right. I do believe Washington kind of breaks USC's heart here and wins this game. I'm gonna go 44-43. I don't USC has not played a complete game all year. They kind of need to beat this team. Um, I know I know USC fans have said, "Hey, we can't stop you can't stop Washington," and they come back and say, "Well, they can't stop us either." That's great. It sounds good. But at the end of the day, they're really not. I don't know if they're equipped to stop the big plays, and I don't think they're equipped to stop the plays to the tight ends, the Culp and Westover plays that are going to keep the chains moving consistently enough. So if you can get Michael Penix off of his spots, if you can force him to, throw on a run. He's a left-handed thrower, so maybe if you can force him to get off his spot and have to run to his right and throw across his body, maybe you can make some plays. But if they're gonna make the plays, they got it. This has to be like a 2 or 3 turnover game, and they have to play. Then they have to have a clean sheet, as they say in soccer, have a clean sheet in order to do so, to beat them. So I'm gonna say Washington wins 40. I go 44. A late field goal, 44. 41 and breaks the hearts of the of our Trojan faithful. So we'll see what happens on Saturday. All right. As always, folks, continue to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast and get your t-shirts, all those things like that. And then as always, fight on.